4 automakers are set to voluntarily recall a total of over 7,700 units of 11 different models due to faulty components, according to the Transport Ministry.
4개 자동차 제조사들이 11개 차종 7,700대 이상에 대해 제작 결함으로 인한 자발적 시정조치, 리콜을 진행한다고 국토교통부가 발표했습니다. Okay, so that's a lot of cars there. We're
Sure
looking
is.
at several different automakers, but tell us more.
Well, I'm not allowed to name the companies, but
Okay.
it's 4 well-known companies,
Right.
2 Korean companies and 2 foreign companies
Okay.
that operate in Korea.
Yep.
A total of 7,783 units. Two of the local companies, they made the recall because of a manufacturing defect in the exhaust gas recirculation valve power unit.
Okay, so
Which means I don't know, but
Right.
I'm not a car guy, so
Right.
like I could go in. That's why I don't have a car. If I went to a mechanic and they just made something up, like, oh, your Johnson rod is broken, I'd be like, well, I need one of those.
Right.
Like, sure, how much does that cost? So I don't know what that is, but obviously
Yeah.
it's an issue with the exhaust and the
Right.
gas, so there's some issue there. They say that it could cause the engine to stall
Right.
while driving, so that's obviously. That's obviously significant. One of the foreign automakers, they had an issue with the rear illumination device, so they recalled over 300 units because of that. And another quite well-known German automaker, they had an issue with over 600 units, and it's a software issue that actually affects the vehicle's mobile app, which could lead to a malfunction during remote automated parking, which I was not really aware of, but I watched a video on it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Does your car have that?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
But I know some cars do, and I test drove one of those.
Oh, did you? Okay.
It kind of blew my mind, actually.
Yeah. When I read this, I'm like,
Yeah.
remote automated parking?
Yeah,
I know what those words mean,
Right.
but is that real?
It is
And it
very real.
Absolutely is.
Yeah.
Is real. Shows what I know.
So, excuse me there. Bottom line is that 7,700 or so drivers will, I suppose, be contacted about the recalls.
Yeah. Or maybe
And-
some of these are even still not sold yet. We're not really sure
Okay,
about that, right?
Right, exactly. And, in the worst case, your car might stop while you're driving. You don't want that to happen. But it is quite a significant number.
It
as
is.
we are seeing here.
And from 4 different major automakers too. That's
Right.
what stood out to me.
They're not being forced to do this. They're voluntarily doing it.
They sure are, right. So when you do something voluntarily, you do it by yourself. It's your own will. You do it willingly. That's another expression, to do something willingly.
자발적으로 무언가를 하다라고 할 때를 willingly 무언가를 하다 아니면 voluntarily 무언가를 하다 이렇게 얘기를 할 수 있습니다.
You make your own decision to do it. It's like
Yeah.
people might hear the term to be a volunteer.
Yep.
So if you volunteer to do something, you're willing to do it. A lot of times volunteers do things for free.
Yes, of course. 자원봉사자를 volunteer라고 합니다. 그래서 이 voluntary는 자발적으로 뭔가 한다라는 거고 이 자원봉사하는 것도 자발적으로 하는 사람이죠. 봉사를 하는 사람. 자, 그다음에 faulty components는 뭘까요?
Components are parts.
Right.
So, and if you opened up your phone or your computer, there's a whole bunch of different components. Machines have various components. And if something is faulty, it's defective parts.
Right.
So this could either be they weren't made properly, there's a small problem with it, or they found out that they just aren't working properly the way that they were intended to work.
Fault, 그러니까 잘못이죠. If someone is at fault, they have done something wrong. Something can be faulty. And again, that means there's something wrong with
Something
it.
wrong with it,
Yeah,
right? Like you
yeah.
could even, you're having an argument with somebody about something and someone has a certain position and you can say, no, that's a faulty argument. Your
right.
position is wrong.
It's wrong.
I think it's wrong. Like, or maybe it actually is. Maybe the person is missing some piece of information.
그렇죠. 그러니까 뭔가를 잘못했을 때 우리가 사람한테 It's your fault, 네 탓이야. 아니면 It's my fault, 내 탓이야. 이렇게 말하죠. 그래서 fault라는 게 그런 잘못됐다라는 의미를 일단 내포하고 있고요. faulty라고 하면은 결함이 있다라는 의미가 되겠습니다.
Did you ever watch Faulty Towers back in the day in England?
The title rings a bell, but I don't
Yeah, it
remember
was like it's a British
Yeah.
comedy.
Right.
About people in I think they run a hotel. Has
Okay.
John Cleese in it. So I think it's spelled differently, but it's probably a play on words because there was always problems with
Right.
it was a comedy, so the
I can
people who worked
imagine, yeah.
at the hotel would always have problems. Like I didn't. It was kind of when I was a kid, my parents would watch it and laugh, but it was kind of a lot of the jokes went over my head,
Right.
and it seemed old, and they were
Yeah.
speaking with a British accent. They sounded
Sure.
like my grandma.
자, faulty towers는 제가 잘 프로그램 기억은 안 나지만 아마 문제 많은 건물, 문제 많은 호텔 이런 뜻이었을 것 같아요. 자, 그럼 다시 한번 읽어보겠습니다. 4 automakers are set to voluntarily recall a total of over 7,700 units, or 7,700 units, of 11 different models due to faulty components, according to the Transport Ministry. And take note that there are two ways of pronouncing this number. You can say 7,700 or you can say
7,700.
exactly.
But if you want to do the exact number, so the exact number is 7,783,
Yeah.
you have to say it like that.
Yes, that's right. 근데 뒤에 그냥 이제 100 단위로 탁 떨어지는 숫자면은요. 이렇게 7,700을 7,700 이렇게 이렇게 표현해도 괜찮아요.
Especially in headlines, though, we'll always round up or
Yeah.
round down to a rounder number. It's
Yeah.
like you're not going to say 783. You're not going to say that in a headline.
You want to make it as concise as possible for a headline.
Exactly.
그렇죠? 네.
Or even talking, right? You just, it's like around 7,700 or something like that.
I wouldn't say, "Hey Ray, have you heard about the 7,783 cars that are being recalled?"
It was 783,
You wouldn't
was
say
it?
that.
Wow. That changes everything.
Okay, so moving on. Let's have a look at headline number 2.